And Barry, my first question actually is to you, because the first 2 chapters take you through scenes that are actually quite harrowing, and then we get down to really how we 7 at Eyewitness News actually learnt about what had happened at Silver Oaks on that morning. How did you hear about it?
Well, it started the 14th of February. Woke up and I'd actually called Lynn O'Connor, who was on the news desk at the time. She's no longer with us, but I was feeling ill that morning, and I called into the desk and I said, "Listen, Lynn, I'm not feeling too good." This was before 7 o'clock in the morning. Please just pull me off the diary, please. I had a Metro Police report I was sitting on. I said, "I'll work on that. I'll be doing work, but just I don't want to go out." And it wasn't long after that I'd received the call from a contact out in Cullinan, which is in the far east of Pretoria, but in the same larger area as the Boschkop police station, which is where Oscar Pistorius lives, in that precinct. And he said to me, and the assumption was I should have known about something. It was, "Are you at Oscar's house?" And he said, "Oscar Pistorius, he's shot somebody at his house. Shot dead, shot injured, you've got to find these things out." And no, he says, apparently someone was dead. And that set it off, and that's how it started. Immediately got back onto the phone, spoke to Lynn O'Connor, said, "Listen, hey, something's happened, we need to get going." And the phone started working in the office. We got Cindy Paluta, our sports editor. She provided me with his agent's number. And it was a mad scramble. And I had to get my daughter to school first. That was another thing. You're still a father. So dash across town, book my child into school, dash back east, and got to the scene, and we broke the story. It was Bealt who broke it on Twitter, but not long after that, it was about 8:30, 7:02, we did the first live crossing.
You write in the book that you were outside past the just before the entrance, and of course that was where Reeva was photographed on her last journey to Oscar's house, smiling, laughing, and looking forward to the evening. And I think that you were the first literally there on the scene, but it didn't take long before the others arrived, because it was electrifying. I was listening to the news, and I thought, well, I can't believe what I'm listening to. And I think that's what the whole of South Africa felt when they heard the news. And it was it wasn't clear what had happened at all at that stage, because even you didn't know.
No, I mean, the information that was trickling out of the complex, I mean, once the journalists started arriving, because they would have heard 702's live broadcast, and then realized I was on the scene because I identified myself as being outside the complex. So, I mean, us journalists, we all know each other. People on the phones, what is the address? They were on their way from Joburg, from wherever, getting directions. But once all the journalists started gathering outside, the information was trickling. We've all got sources, so we were getting little bits here and there. We understood that apparently it was he had shot his girlfriend, believing she was an intruder. How did this happen? Some were saying, oh, she had snuck in the middle of the night for Valentine's Day. So it was we just didn't know. So until it came to that police briefing about mid-morning, which changed everything, because in everyone's mind until that stage, it was strictly an accident. That's how everyone believed it. And then the police dropped the words that they were investigating a murder case, and that just changed everything. And then considering the implications, and that really started to set in then. Who was Oscar Pistorius, and what did this mean?
Mandy, I don't know whether I'm right with this, but I don't think that too many people knew about Reeva Steenkamp. I don't think too many people knew about who Oscar's latest girlfriend was. She'd been a girlfriend for 3 months. He'd had plenty of them before. Was there a scramble to find out more about who was the girlfriend that he had actually shot?
Well, right after the news broke, I rushed into the newsroom, and I immediately tried to confirm the identity of the person who had been killed. And it was very difficult, because we suspected that it was Reeva Steenkamp because her name started trending on Twitter. But at that stage, we weren't absolutely confident. And the last thing you want to do is name someone who has been killed if it's the wrong person. Reeva had been photographed with him at the Sports Awards. She had occasionally been seen out with him and in the tabloids. But for example, Samantha Taylor, who was another ex-girlfriend of Oscar Pistorius, during an interview with me, said that she woke up that morning and looked at her phone, and there was a litany of rest in peace messages on her cell phone that she had received, because people had assumed that it was her. So there wasn't absolute clarity about who had been killed. And I remember speaking to Sarit Tomlinson, who was Reeva's agent, and we needed to confirm that it was in fact Reeva. and her parents hadn't been told yet. So we were very careful about naming her. Some media organizations did name her before we did, because we held back to be absolutely confident. And then we got confirmation, and then we identified her. But for a long time, there wasn't clarity about exactly who had been killed. And then, as Barry says, Denise Beerkus, the police spokesperson, came out and gave that press conference, and I was live tweeting it in the newsroom for EWN Reporter. And I'll never forget when she said those words, that she wasn't sure where this information had come from, that apparently Oscar had mistaken the deceased for an intruder, and we all were stunned. We all just turned and looked at each other and thought, whoa, what's going on here?